Episode 92, Are You Living Your Faith? Welcome to Longing for More, where Christians come to strengthen their faith, revive their soul, and learn to live their lives with a sense of fulfillment and peace. Listen each week to learn how to incorporate your faith into your daily activities, stop wandering through life feeling empty and unfulfilled, and begin to live your more. Let's get started. Are you living your faith? That's a tough question, I know. Truly, what does it even mean to live your faith? There are so many ways we can approach an answer to that, but for now, I want to focus on two primary ways to measure it. Are you at peace with your life? And do you feel fulfilled with your life? I believe that if you answered no to either of those questions, you are probably not living in your faith, or not as fully as you can anyway. Let's be clear. I don't think we are ever fully living in faith day in and day out. We are always going to have doubts and fears. We're never going to run out of situation that causes us stress or anxiety. And even at the height of fulfilling our calling, I think there will be times when we will be striving for more. That is the way we were created. God has a purpose for us, and as long as we are on this side of heaven, there will be a longing deep inside of us that will draw us closer to Him and closer to the person that we were created to be. To me, living in faith is about trusting God, even when it doesn't make sense to do so. Last week's episode of the show, called In God's Timing, is a great example of a young woman who is living her faith. If you listen to the show, you know that it is a journey for her, but by my estimation, she's doing an amazing job of it. I encourage you to go back and listen if you haven't already. In past episodes of the show, I've quoted Beth Moore as she has had a huge impact on my journey, or, in a bid to one of her studies, I should say, quest. I admire her love of Jesus and her boldness for speaking scripture over thousands of women near and far with her writing and her speaking. I recently had the rare opportunity to listen to an interview with Beth in a writer's group I follow. I loved how she talked about how life is just a long journey and we are learning and growing every day along the way. What I took from her comments is that we are constantly becoming a new version of ourselves based on what we experience and learn from those we encounter. Who we are will certainly change as we live our lives. I also loved how Beth Moore stated that we, as Christians, have this constant longing, a longing for Christ and His presence in our life. I just about cheered when I heard that comment because to me, that really is what this podcast, Longing for More, is all about. That longing for more peace, fulfillment, and meaning that only Christ can bring to our lives. Another way we can live our faith and gain more peace and fulfillment is to bring Jesus into every aspect of our lives. Not just the parts where we are serving at church, attending worship, or actively sharing our faith, but the parts where we are living our day-to-day activities. I think this is where we who claim to be Christ followers can often miss the boat. We have a tendency to separate our faith life from our, quote, real life. I know I've fallen short in this area over and over again, especially when I thought I needed to act, quote, professionally. I'm sure there were times when I was reflecting God's love even when I wasn't actively trying to do so. But imagine how much more effective I could have been had I consciously tried to make an impact. What does that look like, you may ask? To me, it looks like responding with patience and kindness when someone makes a mistake. It's forgiving an action that was hurtful and unkind and showing a better way to respond. It's holding a coworker accountable when they cross a line and explaining to them why their action was unacceptable rather than just letting it slide. It's really about helping those in our sphere of influence to become a better person, both by our words and by our actions. When it comes right down to it, that is what I believe our purpose in life is, to live our faith and reflect the love of Jesus where we are, not to seek accolades for what we do, trophies for all of our wins, and garner the highest wages in a job we hate because it affords a lifestyle we think we deserve. Not that any of those things in and of themselves are bad, but they should not be the focus. Serving should be the focus. If we put Christ in the center of our efforts, He will take care of the rest. Honestly, living our faith can be challenging enough, but Scripture calls us to share that faith with others by the way we live and the words we use. When we acknowledge and then agree to step up to our calling to share our faith with the people we encounter in our lives, it can be daunting. Day-to-day practices and decisions that seem reasonable in the eyes of the world are often in conflict with our perspective as believers. Let's face it, succeeding in the professional world is difficult enough without constantly having to check oneself against Christian principles. That is why it is important to have people in our lives who live their faith and will help us to do the same. People who will motivate us to be our best, help us to stay committed to our goal of walking in alignment with our values, and encourage us to take action when it may feel difficult to do so. That is why we need to surround ourselves in a community of believers. We need others who have walked this path to help us when we aren't sure where the next step will lead. People who love Christ and will encourage us and support us along the way. Esther demonstrated this when she was preparing to go before the king. She asked her people to pray for her. It's an important function in a community of believers to support one another in difficult times. We do it when someone is ill or struggling in a relationship. But how many times do we think to surround ourselves with believers to help us through our struggles in the workplace? In the story of Nehemiah, he devised a plan where the workers were guarded by people who were there for the sole purpose of protecting them from the dangers they would encounter as they did their work. As Christians, we need people to help guard us against the dangers we can encounter in the work world, such as wandering away from our mission, from falling into ungodly behaviors, and even aligning with people who will lead us astray. Although it isn't likely to hire a team to stand constant guard, it is a good idea to have a team to help look out for one another so we can be free to be our best selves. And it is for that reason that I've created a faith-based mastermind community for believers who are in a variety of professions. If you're not familiar with what a mastermind is, it is simply a group of highly motivated people who come together to inspire, sharpen, challenge, support, and assist one another to improve in business, life, faith, relationships, or some other shared interest. Napoleon Hill, the man who popularized the concept, defines it as a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage one to follow through with both plan and purpose. The Living Your Faith Mastermind community is for you if you've ever felt alone in your effort to succeed in your work. It's also for you if you've ever longed to be a part of a faith-based, like-minded community of believers committed to living out your faith as a witness to God's presence in your life. If you've ever felt the pressure to keep your faith hidden in the work world when you know God is asking you to have the courage to own your true identity, this could be the perfect place for you. If this sounds like you, I invite you to join us as we band together to begin living our faith in all aspects of life. In this community, you will have access to mentors and friends who get you and understand the challenges you face. The beauty of a mastermind group is that participants raise the bar by challenging each other to create and implement goals, brainstorm ideas, and support one another with total honesty, respect, and compassion. I love that mastermind participants are there to challenge one another when necessary, play devil's advocate when needed, and hold each other's hands through difficult times. To be successful in a mastermind, participants must be willing to be courageous enough to seek help, humble enough to accept it, and disciplined enough to follow through with it. If the idea of a community of believers to help you through this stage of life sounds good to you, I encourage you to find a mastermind that is a good fit for you. In a healthy community, the members will give you feedback, help you brainstorm new possibilities, and set up accountability structures that keep you focused on the right path. Whether Living Your Faith community is the right one for you or not, please consider finding one that will offer you those things. The community that will evolve in your mastermind will become a mainstay in your professional life and will help you bridge the gap to being a better you in both your work and your home life. To read about the benefits and other details of becoming a part of the amazing opportunity to join the Living Your Faith Mastermind community, go to vannajohnson.com/mastermind. I'll be honest, it isn't for everyone. It takes a commitment to be a part of such an important effort. But out of respect for your time, I've worked hard to keep the commitment of time and resources at a minimum while giving members adequate support and encouragement. If you feel this is right for you or someone you know, visit the website and share it with those you think may be looking for someone to lock arms with through this journey of life. I have a really incredible offer for those who I call inspired founders, those action takers that are ready to jump in, that really you lock in an incredibly low price for actually in perpetuity as long as you want it to be there. So go check that out. That offer goes away February 25th. Although the offer to join goes longer, you won't get the opportunity to join at that low rate beyond that February 25th date. So go check it out. Truly, life is short. We all have a reason that we were created. So come together with community, live a life of purpose, live a fulfilling, meaningful life. Join us, will you? I want to thank you for stopping by today. I know your time is precious. So please go, be blessed, and live your more.